Coming up on the show today, I will be showing you floral arrangements for a rustic themed setting. I'll also be chatting to a food and floral stylist, as well as collaborating with her to create a nature-inspired centerpiece for an elegant table setting. I'm sure there's so many of you at home that love a forest or to be in a tree-lined place, to walk in nature, to walk through forests. This is Toadbury Hall. It is just outside of Johannesburg. It's in Muldersdrift. They are the most magnificent trees here, and there's a little forest, a river that runs through the property. It is absolutely beautiful here, and I'm going to inspire you on how to create flowers in a forest setting. I've chosen a spot among the trees in one of the charming areas of this property. Now, I know you've all got one of these at home somewhere, and it's a keepsake. It was handed down to you, or you nicked it before the siblings could from your granny's house or from your mum, because they've come back into fashion hugely, and it's rose gold. I think it suits today's theme quite nicely. Even though we're in a very rustic environment, it's quite an elegant container. And I want to reiterate that by doing a design in here that's loose, informal, but full of detail and some imagination. One of the things that I want to talk about as well is, this is a piece of what looks to you like something that's absolutely dead. This is called resurrection plant, and it's an incredibly powerful plant because what you see here is not actually dead. And a very dear friend of mine who's a lecturer in molecular botany has done an extended research on this plant because it's a miracle plant. If you had to just drop this plant in some water tonight, tomorrow afternoon, all of these buds will have come back to life. So it's the plant that never dies, and it holds keys, we believe, maybe, to the eradication of world famine, because if we can put some of that cleverness into the maize that dies because of drought, maybe we can keep people's crops alive. So I've wanted to use it this whole season. And then these little skeleton leaves, they're fun to use in the design because of their structure and their form. So how do you actually use it? You just cut away some wire, not too much, and then take your wire and weave the wire through the spine of the leaf, so underneath and out the other side, and then very gently pull that close to create a hook, and then twist the wire onto itself to make a little imaginary stem of the wire, and then get your kebab stick and put that in place as an extra support, and then you turn that onto the kebab stick. Now you've got it in position and it's not going anywhere, but you still need to tape it. They're so delicate, you've got to be careful it doesn't tear, which is hard. But if you just get your tape, pull your tape a little and twist. Make sure that all of this silver wire is hidden. You just keep turning all the way down the stem. Now we've got 3 different shapes and sizes which will create rhythm in the design. So that's my prep work done over there. I'll start off with this because it's the most original piece here. It's actually the end of a protea. And if you can see, that's what's left behind when the protea flower has finished. So I'm going to pretend these are flowers and position this right in the middle of the design. And then balancing it off with this gorgeous green. Look at these little flowers that are here. That's going to be a beautiful contrast against this dry stick that I've just gone and sent in there. So there you go, green, living, dead. Everything that goes in follows the center point ultimately of the piece of foam or the middle of the container. And that's why this kind of styling is fun and easy, because all you do is stay in the line. And then right at the end, we'll use the moss and some pieces of leaf to cover up or hide your dynamics that you've used. And you'll see now that I'm excited to bring in something that I've had hidden because it's so windy here, and they don't love wind, but they are so special. One of my favorite flowers, actually my most favorite flower. These are poppies, and fragile and delicate, but so beautiful. They have such a great play in this kind of styling, because watch what happens when I add one in. It just makes magic. And these little poppies will create such a fabulous rhythm to your design. And I'm going to just drop a few of them in at different heights. So we'll drop one of these down low. Now you can see that there's a long side on this side and a dead end on this side. So you can see it's squared off over here. And I've got this piece of foliage from the forest behind me, and it's got a beautiful bend to it, and I'm going to pop it in just on that side. There's a sweet little one. It's lost its petals. It doesn't matter, that's still very, very pretty. So out they go, taking the drama right through to that leaf on that side. And now resurrection plant time. So it's very, very hectic, you know. You could pop it in there, but it's very, very loud. So I'm going to minimize it down a touch. Now you'll see that beautiful contrast between the soft petal of the poppy and the dry of the resurrection. That contrast in textures is a very bold statement. And then we'll fill in with some of the berries. Some of the living moss, which I adore to use. It's not too dusty, and what that will do is just close up all the pieces of flower foam so you don't see it, because that's a big no-no, you know that in your styling. It's time for this leaf to be put in because of the brown texture on the side here, and the nice thing is that they come off, so you can see there's a hole there, and that fits a kebab stick perfectly. So I'm just going to pop it in, thick side in there, give it a push, it's nice and secure, and now we can use that to get a leaf into the design. Just to formalize that side a little bit because it was a bit wispy. I like this side wispy, but there's a nice heavy piece over there. And now just to finish, bring in some of the santinis and a little bit more of the berry, and we should be done. This is a different kind of moss that I'm including in this design now. It's a more flowy, frivolous one, and it's going to give some very nice movement to the design. You can tuck it in all the way around. It'll just close up some of the holes for you and hide the flower foam. I just love the contrast of these little living flowers against the wood and the dead protea. That's in its own way actually such a magnificent flower. Even the left behind part of the protea is so beautiful. You can see inside here the pattern that it creates. It's just glorious. So this is one poppy that hasn't opened yet, and I love that because we don't quite know what's inside there, and I'm not sure exactly what color it's going to be. I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to pop it in right over there because look at that progression. This is what this was before this emerged, and then that was the finish. And I just love how it's all come together. Also, this is something you can put outside on your patio if you're having a braai. I don't know, I think you could do absolutely anything with it. You can put it anywhere and enjoy it.
After the break, I'll show you how to add flowers to your surroundings, even if you're entertaining in the outdoors.
When you're entertaining or creating a setting and a table in a forest, sometimes it's such a great idea to hang flowers between two trees and to create like a curtain of flowers. But for that, you're going to need a nice big stick or something to hang what we call garlands on. And how do you create a garland? Well, you're going to need quite a thick needle and some fishing gut. And you need to tie the fishing gut onto the needle like that, and then decide how long you want your lengths to be. You know, that's totally up to you, but you can see that this is about 1.5 meters, almost 2 meters long. And flowers have been garlanded onto it at intervals, and when this hangs all together, it looks so pretty. So how do you do it? Well, just keep alternating your elements up the twine, but before you do that, you're going to need to establish approximately the distance between the flowers. And you'll see what I've done is I've made a bit of a knot, and that catches the flower and stops it from running down to join the next flower. So you can take your hand and just make a knot, thread the needle through it, at the point where you want the next flower to stop, try not to make a small knot. You want to rather have a little bit of a loop so it really catches the flower and the flower doesn't just slip past the knot. So there you can see the little loop. You won't notice it once it's hanging, dangling. That's the great thing about the gut, because it almost looks as if by some form of magic these flowers are just dangling in the air. So it's time for a leaf. So look at that gorgeous leaf. It's quite festive. The patterns on it are gorgeous. You know, when it twists in the wind like that, it's just going to be so beautiful. So all you have to do is take the leaf and thread it like that on the bottom of the spine. And just gently pull that knot through on both sides, and then run that twine all the way through it until it finds resistance from that little knot. And then you can thread back through the knot, and you've got a secure spot there now where the leaf will hang and it won't move. And you just keep going, alternating flower to leaf to flower to leaf. When it comes to the chrysanthemums, you can feed the flower from the inside of the chrysanth through to the back of the chrysanthemum, because that means it'll go onto your line face down, and when it dangles in the forest, if it's up high, then you can see the flower looking down at you. I had already made a little knot there, and I've come to the end of my tether, so I'm just going to close this inner knot, cut this off, and tie a knot there and leave some space and some extension of gut from your last flower to then be able to tie this garland onto your device in the forest so that it dangles. And I've prepared that for you, so I'm going to go and take this there and hang it on, and you'll see how lovely it looks, dangling flowers in a forest.
Coming up next, I chat to a fellow stylist about her journey to the world of flowers as she sets a table for us to style. This is going to be fun.
Betsana, thank you so much for coming on the show with me. I have been following your work. You are truly a real up-and-coming stylist. Your taste levels are huge. Please tell me about your business. What exactly do you do?
I'm an art director, a photographer, and a food and prop stylist. And my company is very new, Ethereal Barn Journal, and essentially we create digital content for other companies, for their social media platforms and their websites.
One of the things I've noticed about you is I think it takes a huge amount of passion to stand out in the business of styling, especially, I mean, you're so vast, events, digital branding, all that kind of stuff. You have an incredible passion, and it really does shine through. Where do you draw that passion and inspiration from?
Nature is definitely my biggest passion. I will use any excuse I can get to go out into the garden, to forage for foliage, and use a lot of natural elements in my work. Natural light is also one of our biggest sources of inspiration, and we will work according to the light and how it moves, and we love everything looking very organic and authentic. So yeah, that's really the essence of where we draw that inspiration from.
And it amazes me, you know, to be good at photography, to be good at marketing, to be good in flowers, because you're a wonderful floral stylist as well. How did that journey start for you?
I think drawing back from my childhood, you know, spending a lot of time in the garden, constantly playing and being there for that golden hour where the light just hits everything so beautifully. Those are very whimsical, enchanting memories. And a lot of my passion, again, as I said earlier, is drawn from that. And that is kind of how it all started, because this was a passion project. I had worked for other companies before and finally was given the opportunity to do my own thing. And when the opportunity came, I went with it. And we love what we do. And I think that's a big part of what can set you apart in the industry, and to really make a name for yourself and be recognized is when you can start really creating something that is your own.
One of the things that you're also so well known for in your business is styling a table or dressing a scene or a space. What are the trends at the moment that are really, really current in terms of styling?
When it comes to styling, I try to stay away from trends. I try rather focus on what is seasonal. What are the colors that are coming through right now? It's easier to rather be resourceful and use what's around you and be inspired by what's around you, because then it makes it more accessible to viewers at home. And I think that's very important, is that often you can create something and it looks amazing, but it's just not realistic and not something that someone can translate into their own home.
And a person who's a true artist has three things needed: passion, creativity, and freedom, right?
Exactly.
That's what it takes.
Exactly.
Okay, and I have to ask, because I need to know, what is your favorite flower?
Wild jasmine, pink wild jasmine.
No,
that
brilliant.
is my absolute favorite flower.
Well, it's all over the place at the moment, you know.
And the smell, it's so fragrant and just reminds me of my childhood. So I just absolutely love it.
We've come to this place which is outdoorsy. It's got some forests around, and true to your nature and your style, I know we're going to go and dress a table with flowers and things we found. Let's go and see what we can put together to make it even more beautiful.
I can't wait, let's do it.
Wow, Matana, look at that. Absolutely great. You know, it's so unusual. We don't see this kind of cutlery here much. Just talk me through your inspiration on it. Where did that come from?
Well, I thought it was really nice to use nature as your element of inspiration when decorating a table. So, you know, we've got bits of bark and branches that have fallen off trees. So I love using your surroundings to actually create a beautiful centerpiece, which is what we're going to do a little bit later.
Yes.
But I also like, you know, the idea of creating height. And you don't want to do it in the middle of the table so that it blocks guests from being able to see each other and interact.
Yeah.
So you can keep the middle quite low and do a beautiful decorative piece spreading along the center of the table piece. Yeah. And then the sides can be elevated with height, which you can really play with, and it won't interfere at all.
And you know, these pots have become so fashionable. This color is so in season.
No, it really is. The coppers, it's beautifully worn, burnt siennas, terracotta, chestnut, and any kind of warm tones are great to bring in, especially for an evening event, or it could be a lunch as well. It's just nice to bring that through.
So for those of you at home, this concept that Matana and I are going to do together is called a garland or a runner. And you'll see what I've done is I've just popped in some bricks of flower foam. But what we've done is we've just put a little cellophane sheath around it with an elastic, so that when you push stems in here, it doesn't displace water onto the tablecloth. And you'll see when we style it how functional that can actually be to keep this beautiful, like it's just grown in place. It's kind of foresty feasty, which is the whole theme of the show. It's a little bit windy here today, so things are blowing around a little bit, but we should start.
Yes.
Why don't you start with those exquisite orchids?
They are really beautiful. I thought it'd be quite nice to put this over here, and as we discussed, you know, create the element of height kind of going down onto the table, and then we can carry the red through and start putting elements of that.
Yes, right to the center. Point of focus, hey? Right
exactly,
here.
Exactly.
But I think, you know, the balance of it will be beautiful. And then peppercorns.
I love the peppercorns.
There you go. So we're going to use the peppercorns together to kind of bring the rhythm all the way through. Am I right?
Exactly.
And hide what we've got here on the table. So peppercorns are not very long lasting. You know, they tend to dry quickly, the peppercorns and the peppercorn leaves. But even when they're a little dry, they still fall nicely. Don't worry too much about them. You can spritz them during the day while you're styling.
I must say, even dried peppercorn branches are really beautiful.
Yeah.
I have used them before as well in a set, and
completely dry.
The color, yeah, completely dry.
Because then they go a bit silver.
It's the coppery colors are just so beautiful. And even you can start seeing here the coppery tones that are coming through.
Beautiful.
It's just so beautiful.
So, you know, I just think that it's so nice to be able to style loose and free form like this. You know, there's such rigid rules in floristry, and then you get to play and you get to create like a garden. So cool.
Exactly, and also it's quite nice to do this with your family or friends. I mean, you can create something together. You know, there's no exact formation of how everything has to go. So this is really, really a nice element to add as well. It's very playful.
So Matana, here's something from the Cape, Leucadendron.
Yeah, those are beautiful. I love using those in my styling.
Yeah, and you know, I like their line. They do such a great line. Tell me about your career. You know, I know you haven't always been in floral styling, but
I do a variety of different elements when it comes to styling. I do food styling, floral styling, prop styling, and set design.
Yes.
You know, and then the photography and film kind of goes into that as well. It's great to bring elements of the home into it and small decor features and just make everything not just look beautiful, but also be accessible and being resourceful too. Using your surroundings is always a great way to work, you know, not having such a set plan every time, because being able to also portray something where the viewer can get an idea of what it is and be inspired by it and feel that they can do something similar at home too.
What else are we doing here if we're not inspiring people to love flowers
Exactly.
and decorate with them? Gosh, so look at these pin cushions. Do you think we should put very few of these in?
Cut it really short and strip the leaves so it's just that beautiful pincushion coming through, and we can put it in some of the gaps that we have on the table.
Sure, Matana, I think we're almost there. It's looking exquisite.
I'm really happy with how it's turned out.
Beautiful, beautiful. It looks real, looks organic. Now that's all that's left is some of that moss.
Yeah.
And I think we should include the 3 colors.
Yeah. I love the colors of the moss.
So the main idea is to just hide these blocks of foam that is still sticking out. Oh, okay, I'm done.
Me too.
You're good. Looks absolutely exquisite. Thank you so much for bringing these incredible elements to dress a table with, to inspire these. The combination of what's come together here has been quite marvelous, hasn't it?
It's been so lovely being able to do this with you. We had such fun.
Good.
I love all the colors have come together and really mixed well. Got the greens and all the warm tones. It's just such a beautiful table setting.
Yep. Poppy, undoubtedly the flower of the day today because it's my favorite flower. But why do I love the poppy so much? Because when you see it start to grow, it grows in the field and it just has this little hairy stem that's so thin and this ugly little seed pod. It doesn't look like anything. And then this little flower surprises you and it starts to split. And inside is this incredible flower with petals that remind me of crinkle paper, the one we used to use at school. And this flower, because of that, reminds me in my life not to judge a book by its cover. And I think that's such a brilliant lesson for all of us out there. You never know what's inside something or someone. And the resilience of this little flower against the wind and the rain, with such a skinny stem and such delicate petals, yet it holds its own. And also the poppy, few flowers have held such high regard and respect in the world, in religion, mythology, and even medicine. Its common name, all of them are referred to as papavers, which is the Latin word for milk. And that's because inside, when the seed is developed and it's cut, it releases a milky sap. Artificial poppies are used on Remembrance Day to remember many of the military men who fell in battle and lost their lives. It's just the best flower, and I hope that you've enjoyed today's show and that you've been absolutely inspired once more to create flowers, thinking out the box and using environments and beautiful places like forests and country houses and country places to create incredible settings for your styling and entertaining. If you would like to learn how to create and style flowers like a pro, then SMS Fresh Cut to 41703 to stand a chance to win a beginner's course with me and start your own personal journey into flowers and floral styling. The winner will be announced at the end of the season, so keep watching.